Hey everybody, Germy's Coast Yard here, and in today's episode of Germanator Gardens, we are going to be finishing out this little section in the midway here, and hopefully starting on some terrain work for our log flume, in addition to just continuing working on our log flume. So let's start down here with this little area. I want to round out and sort of fill in this corner area, and I thought about various things we could do. And one idea that came to mind was a flat ride. I think instead I'm going to go with a restaurant just to, not have too much action going on in the front of the park. So we want our rides to be a little further back. That way the front doesn't get too crowded. The front is already going to be handling lots of crowds. So I don't like to put rides too close to the front of my parks. So that being said, we'll include a small restaurant back here, probably just something that sells standard food, hot dogs, hamburgers, fries, drinks, that kind of place. So the first thing I will do is fill in our service road back here, just so we know where the back perimeter is, and that way we can have a rear entrance to our restaurant. And now we have an area to work with. And I think I'm going to bring the restaurant right up to the edge of the pathway just to maximize the space we have inside. And to start, I think I'm going to lay out the pathway that will be inside the restaurant. So probably along like this. I think that'll be the layout we follow. And yeah, let's continue. We're kind of working on limited space here, which might be a little tricky, but I think what I want to do is get our walls. We'll keep it in the same color scheme as the other buildings since it will be more or less connected. Well, let's try something different actually, because I want the building to, it's going to be connected, but I want it to stand out as its own building so people know it is something other than this gift shop we did up front, which reminds me, I don't think we made these stalls sell any item in particular. So let's start with a different sort of design palette, if you will. And I want to put these walls on this outside edge here. And the reason for that is because we are working with limited space for the stalls on the inside. And if the walls are on the inside edge, those stalls will not fit there. And then let's get at least 3 custom stalls in here. Probably 2 types of food and 1 for drinks. So we'll come down here and get our custom stall just like that. And now that we have those in place, we kind of have parameters to work with for the rest of it. Before we do anything else though, let's just paint this so it's not grass inside of the store or the restaurant. And we'll come through here and get some more walls, and let's do white slate walls for the interior. I think that will look just fine. And we'll come along just like so. And actually, I think what we'll do, we need to rename one of our peeps to M. Brooks. Let's get one here. And then we're going to do what we typically do and recess the front wall of this building back a little bit so we can have our natural border along the front, like this flower bed here. In fact, I just noticed I need to paint dirt under there, so I'm going to keep that on my mind. Anyhow, let's see here. Oh yeah. I guess we'll bring this along like so to start. Gotta change the color. In fact, we should have windows as well. If I can find the right one. Here we go. And one thing I like too about the slate or the colored wall set with the block walls is the windows come in different shapes, which I like. So we can experiment with that as well. Let's do this one to start. And why not? One thing I noticed, okay, that'll be okay. I was gonna say if we didn't place this one here, it would look a little asymmetrical, but that's fine because it needs to come out one anyway. Okay, and another thing we can do, these windows don't have to all be the same style of window. So we could use the round window, for instance, for a couple of them. I do try to keep stuff like this symmetrical though, just for consistency's sake. Let's do round windows on the ends here. And then here's an idea. You may remember I did something like this in the Germanator Studios series when we designed our haunted mansion or haunted house ride. I used these square windows or rectangular windows, and then I used the arch windows on top to create sort of more of a grand facade, if you will. And I think that will work well here. And then, yeah, I think we'll leave the round windows like that. We'll figure it out as we go. Maybe we can even start with one of the roofs. Oops, we'll go a little higher. I'm not a big fan of just having this super blocky facade here, so maybe we'll mix that up a little bit. Maybe we'll do blocks in the middle and then something else on the outside, on the two like wings of the building or something. We'll figure it out. Anyhow, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of roll with that theme. In fact, since I think we're probably going to get rid of these circular windows, hopefully I'm making sense and not just rambling incoherently. But I'm going to put circular windows up here. That way, yeah. And I think that's the wrong color for, yeah, okay. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere with this. Alright, so hopefully you can kind of see where I'm going with this facade here. And then I think to continue, let's see here. I'm looking for my pointed rooftop. Here we go. Small block rooftop. And just to cap it off like that. And one thing we can do now that we sort of have this shape in place for the main facade is let's come back to our windows here and let's elevate this center window by 1/3 height and then get our arched window like that. That way the windows come to a point with the rooftop, and we'll try it like that. We could even bring it up one more. I just don't want this to be too close to the rooftop. So let's try that though. If we can get it there. Let's go like this. Boom, boom. Yeah, that's a little too jagged for me, I think. Too big of a difference for those windows, but I'm glad we tried it. So we'll just leave it at 1/3 height, recessed, or not recessed, but elevated. And we'll get our 1/3 height block walls over here and fill in the rest. And I think that looks pretty nice. Now what we can do is adjust the edges, and I realize now these round windows probably are not going to work anymore, and the reason for that is because I want to get some half roofs along here like this, and when we bring them up right here, these will no longer, like, they'll be clipped into the roof, which I don't think looks great. So we are going to have to come up with an adjustment there. But the first thing before we do that is now we need space for seating on the inside, as I like to have. So we will do that really quick. Let's get another slate wall in here, and we can even come along like so and make that a different color entirely. And I think making this a different color will help ease the transition between this building here and this change over here. So now we just have to figure out how we want to approach this. I think let's come up like so. Yeah, since this is on the corner, let's make it 3 walls tall. And this can be maybe a nice central building or something. Maybe we even get rid of this here. Let's see. This is going to be, I'm going to take a risk here. I don't think it's going to work, but let's find out. Let's try rounding this corner. We could even round it on both sides. I don't know how I feel about this. See, the issue I have with this is now this is just going to be a flat blank wall. We can't put any windows on there or anything. So I think it's a good idea to try, but I don't think this is the right application for a round corner. So we'll stick to our full height wall here. And of course, in a moment, we will, you know, well, I guess you don't know because I don't know. We'll put the windows and all of that stuff in there. So far, I think I'm liking this, but I want to bring this back a little bit lower. And let's try putting a roof on top. Of course, we'll have to change the colors, but let's see, let's get it from this angle. I think that ought to work. We'll try that for now. We'll roll with this. But I'm just going to, I think I'm going to make, one sec, I'll show you. I'm going to bring the height of the wall up by 1/3, just so that way we can have sort of an overhang here. The roof just doesn't start right on top of that entrance. But what I'm going to do differently is I want to add sort of a foundation to this section to tie it together with this section of the building. So we'll do our 1/3 height wall on the bottom and make that a block wall. And then on top of that, let's add our slate wall. Oops, and we just want that to be 1 tall there. Look, I think that works well, and that brings it out nicely from this building, but this light blue block wall will tie it in nicely with the rest of the build. So I think we will move forward with that. And here's a little subtle detail we can do for an interior. Instead of using a light blue block wall for that wall, let's use a light blue slate wall. Let's just try it. Okay, that is more subtle than I thought. I thought it might look better. We can try a darker blue, but I think it needs to be a different texture in addition to being a different color, so we'll go back to the blocks. Okay, and finally, let's put this right up here. Alright, I think we have our final design here, so let's do this on the other side as well. And just place that there, and then mirror the rest of it. So, block wall, blah blah blah, right along here. And then we'll open this up for a dining space. Okay. I think this will work pretty well. The only gripe, if you can call it that, I have now is just the way these paths come out of here, but I want to do our flower bed out front and all of that before I decide if I want to change things up. But before we do that, let's finish the pathways on the inside, and we'll put some windows in and all of that good stuff. And I realize, now we have these two pathways. So one of these can work if we just do a doorway. But we might have to just not have a sitting area over here or something like that. Maybe this can be where our entrance is, and this can be a little storage room. So we'll switch that up a little bit. Let's get one of these doors. Like so. And we can even have this right here, just to act as like an entrance into here, kind of thing. But let's make that a block wall. Well, no, it'll be fine as a slate wall. But we'll make sure the door is gray colored. I usually go with gray for exterior doors because that seems to be the color exterior doors, like industrial kind of doors, are on buildings of this sort. So that's why I do that. And we'll get another 1/3 height wall. And one thing, well, I was gonna say we can make the whole back side a slate wall, but not when it needs to be a block wall for that interior. Okay, I think this ought to be fine. And 1/3 height wall there. Okay, let's continue. Let's get a full height block wall, light blue, and we'll put that up here where it belongs. Yeah. And one more. And we'll fill out that roof in a moment. But this is looking pretty good so far. Let's finish out this little storage area before I forget that I was working on that. Now because this will be hidden away, I was going to say you could do a 1/3 height wall here, or you can just get rid of that entirely. So we'll just get rid of it entirely to save a fraction of whatever of storage space for our park. And let's see, let's get our full height wall, just build up this outside, but we want it to be this color. Yes? No. We need the bottom. Okay, we're good. We're good. It's okay. And let's put a doorway. Sorry, I'm lost in thought here. I'm not going to do this little trim on the inside, just because we're going to have the doorway here, and just for consistency's sake on that wall. It doesn't have to be consistent with the opposite side of the building because it's a completely different, shape or whatever. Completely different design. Okay. And this. Perfect. Well, this is turning out to be a much longer design process for this restaurant than I was anticipating, but at the same time, I literally hit record and decided I was gonna do this. I literally didn't plan this out ahead of time. So I guess that's on me. Anyhow, let's put in our slate roof. We'll make it a little darker. Like so. And let's come into our free look. Yeah, actually I think, can we do this? No, free look. And let's see how it looks from the bottom. I think that looks pretty good for shaping. Let me think here. I think what might look even better though. Let's get this back to normal. Instead of having the roof just come straight out, I think what I want to do, oops, if I can find it, is get the corner roofs. Like so. We'll try these instead. I think that'll kind of soften that edge and make it fit a little better with this wall here. That way, yeah. Okay. And on this side, really quick though, we will design a dining room on this side, I think. Yeah. And I just usually use the wooden benches for most applications, so we'll do that. That should work. We'll do one more right here, and then I left this space open because we'll put a trash bin here, and then let's put a light somewhere along here. Yeah, we'll put it right back there. And we'll just use a path street lamp. Unfortunately, there aren't many fantastic options for interior lights. Maybe a Hershey's Kiss lamp. No, we aren't sponsored, unfortunately. Okay, that should be fine. And the next thing we need to do is come back to our walls because we want some windows for over here. And I think just a large window will work fine. Actually, I say actually a lot. Sometimes you don't know you don't want something until you see it. Um, what I don't like is how elevated it is. I feel like the window's too big for how high up in the air it is. So I think we'll do 2 small windows. I think that'll work a little better, and it would theoretically let in or out about the same amount of light. So I think that works fine. And with that, we just got to put a roof over here and on the top, and then theoretically the restaurant will be done. So let's finish that really quick. And then we'll do the same thing with the corner roof here, like so. Okay, from the front, I think it looks pretty good, but let's finish off the rear real fast. And one thing we can do as well, so because this is a behind the scenes pathway, we really don't want this to be visible from inside of the restaurant. But when you're looking up at an angle, all you would see is this roller coaster. So let's put a couple windows in here, and this would be a great spot to make use of our round windows as well. And I feel like when you look at, I know this is not a cathedral, but when you look at cathedrals or things like that, they have like that big round window. I think it's called like the rose window or something like that, along the front, or way up on one of the sides of the cathedral in the sanctuary. And it's something that sort of draws the eye into it, and it acts like a centerpiece. So what I'm really trying to do here is just these windows can be a little more ornate by design, and let's match what we did with these windows up front and make the middle window 1/3 height taller. And yeah, I like that from here. And then we'll come along with our 1/3 height walls and place those like so. Oh wait, we don't need them above these two. That's right. Okay, now we'll get our block roof, and I'm going to change the colors of the roofs as well to match the outside portions. And just a tiny bit more to go. Small block rooftop. And that is our restaurant complete. Rear door included. Ooh. Okay, this is the back side. I realize I need another 1/3 height wall up here. But I'm realizing this edge is a little bit funky. And that's just how you have to design it in this scenario because of the stalls right in here. However, I think we are okay. Before we move on to the next little project, let's just do this real quick. We want dirt for our flower bed here. And while I'm doing that, I remembered dirt under there. Perfect. Okay, now let's get some shrubs to go along here. Maybe, if I can find them. There we go. Small hedge along each of these edges. I'm going to replace these outside paths now with the whatever you call it, this the uneven paving or whatever. Irregular paving, that's what it is. Like so, and like so. And we'll come back to our plants really quick. Now, here's another thing. We have options for how we want to do this. We could do like a pine in the middle, like a medium pine, and then a couple small pines, small sugar pines on either end, right? But now we can't see the windows. So even though you can kind of follow the flow of the roof here to a point, it just doesn't really look great. You're blocking those windows and you're blocking a lot of light from getting in. Maybe we could do bushes, small yellow bushes on the end, and then, oh, there's a tall yellow bush. funny. I never use those. Maybe I should. Where's a small green bush? So this is one option, which I actually kind of like that. We may leave that. But let's start. I want to incorporate some small sugar pines on either end. I think that looks good. And then those bushes, I think that works well. So I was thinking originally I might do a flower bed in there. Let's try it and see how it looks. Yeah, let's try it. Where is our flower bed? So this is the episode of let's try different things and pick the best one. See, I think that looks nice, and I think it works well with the aesthetic of this building. And you know what? As much as I love the way those bushes looked, I don't want that greenery to sort of encroach on this center pathway here, especially because it doesn't match. So I think this will work fine. And last thing we will do, let's get a couple signs for our restaurant. And we need a name for this place. I'm thinking it's going to sell probably burgers, hot dogs, and fries, kind of like I said. Let's do that. Let's get like a bronze kind of color for the caps. I think that'll do. So we can name this place later. Let's get one more of those signs on this edge. In fact, we can even break it up a little bit. So we don't have to have signs right over the entrance like that for every one. Let's get tall park sign and put it right along here. Look, that works well, I think. Yeah, you can do this around the place. In fact, we could even do a couple, maybe, yeah, like on the gift shop here. But I want to make those different colors. Actually, let's just, there. They can be the park colors. Okay. Anyhow, but now that we have two of those, I think I want to change it up for this third one. So let's get the small park sign, because this is kind of just a side entrance anyway. And one thing I just remembered I want to do as well, while it's on my mind, let's get, from our colored walls, our double doors, or our sliding doors, or whatever. Patio doors is what they're called in the game. That just means we're going to have to delete our signs really quick that we just placed, but that's okay. Just to get them along that edge there. And let's change the frame of those to a gray color, just because it is a doorway. Oops. And we can make the glass darker. So when you make the glass darker, I think it just makes the interior stand out a little bit more. And we can even go back over with these windows and switch that out as well. I'll do that really quick. Actually, oh yeah. And while we're at it, let's put a couple windows on this side as well, since this is our dining room. And I just realized the frames are the wrong colors, so I'll have to fix that too. That's okay. So my general rule of thumb is that window frames can be colored with the accent color, in this case light blue, but I tend to leave door frames gray if I can. Well, I'm a hypocrite. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of the interior doors that we were using. So, you know what? For the heck of it, ignore me. Let's make these light blue, just to further exemplify that accent. Okay, cool. And thank you for putting up with my contradictions. And finally, we'll just put in our signs again. And I'll go in off camera between takes or between scenes and adjust, you know, the thing, what the shops are selling. Alright, and a couple more signs. Perfect. Oops, and I wanted this on top. Nope. I'll get there eventually, you guys. Here. And one more. Yay! We did it. Leave a name for the restaurant down below. And if you have a suggestion, and I will probably get exactly one, and then that'll be it in the next episode or something. We'll see. We'll see. When we come back in the next scene, I think what I want to do is make it nighttime and put some lighting in here now that we sort of have a developed bit of Midway. So I will see you all here in just a moment. But what I want to do here is build sort of a hill / mountain here in the middle of the park that the log flume will wrap around. But what I want to do, this park is inspired, as I've mentioned, by Busch Gardens, even though I've never been there. So what I vaguely know and have seen of it, that's sort of the inspiration for this park, right? But it's a medieval inspiration to an extent. The log ride, I think, is going to be Western. But I want the centerpiece of this park. Can you guess what I want the centerpiece to be? If you guessed a castle, you'd be correct. To my knowledge, I don't think Busch Gardens Williamsburg has any sort of large castle centerpiece. But you know what does? Disney World, okay? But I don't want to do a nice, pretty princess castle. No disrespect to Cinderella, but I want to do more of a medieval kind of castle. And what I think I want to do is have sort of part of the castle up here, like a tower, and then a bridge across the pathway to another small tower or something. And the pathway will extend. Let me sort of paint it out for you. the pathway will extend sort of under this archway, right? And that archway will be kind of a bridge. And if you want to look up kind of the idea I'm going for here, even though it won't be exact, the inspiration would be like Burg Trefells in Germany. It sort of has this big archway over a path as you're climbing up to the castle. So it'll arch over top, and then somewhere along the castle you'll be able to climb up the hill a little ways, right? So for the person who commented, they've commented on the last 2 episodes, and they're really excited for me to talk more about doing terrain work with your park. And I mentioned in the last episode, I don't do a lot of terrain work on a massive scale, but with individual attractions, including pathway based attractions like walkthroughs, I have done some terrain work. So we're going to do some of that. I think I'm going to put a small restaurant / eating area at the base of one of these castle towers, probably on the left. That way the lock flume can pass it, etc. Let's turn on our grid here. Yeah, we have plenty of space to work with. I think we have 5 wide here. I probably only need 3 for a tower, and then like 1 more for the surrounding base where the hill will lead up to it. So I think that'll work perfectly. Anyhow, point being, we're going to do some terrain work along here, and I think we're going to start it here in a few minutes, probably in the next clip of this episode. But I want to prepare for it. So the first thing I want to do to prepare is work on this log flume a tiny bit more. Actually, the first thing I want to do before that is bring up our terrain. So let's get our snap terrain tool. In fact, let's get our 3x3 snap terrain tool. Let's bring this back a little bit. What about here should be good. And let's bring it up the height of a full wall. So this is not going to be too tall. In fact, yeah, let's make it 2 walls tall, and we'll worry about getting pathway up here at a later time. And then I'm just going to bring it out a little bit on this side as well, so we have a reference point for our log flume, and eventually for building a castle. But let's come back to our log flume, and let's even turn on the terrain height indicator. Maybe we don't need that. Yeah, because I can't see specifically what height that is, but we know, okay, this will work fine. So that's even a little bit too tall. Let's come down 1. And that'll work. If we went down any lower, really I think we would cut into our terrain here, which I don't want to do, but I also want to keep those supports under there. Maybe. For the time being I want to, just for realism's sake. And we'll just bring that right along here, just for the time being. We could even do an S-bend or something if we wanted. I don't know. We'll keep it a straight line for now, though. And we'll leave it at that. And then now we know the reference point. So our castle's going to go somewhere over here. And one thing we can do really quick, I know I said I was going to save the terrain stuff for the next little scene, right? But I think what we can do is just get started here with some of the stuff for underneath the log flume. And let's just make a little ramp here. These ramps can be a little tricky, but I just bring up like a single tile as far as I can, and then I adjust all of the surrounding ramps accordingly. Like so. And look, that's even a nice kind of flowing, rolling hill, if you will. So let's continue this shaping for the rest of this little hill here. All the way up there. I really am going against what I said. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to save terrain for the next clip. And then, but it matters for the sake of we just edited the log flume, and now I'm adjusting the terrain surrounding it, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of stair-stepping this up, right? Just to give myself a reference point. So this front edge of each step, if you will, lines up, or this corner lines up with the slope of the terrain. I will come along here and just lift it all up again. I'll make this just a nice flat edge. We can adjust the shape and size of this terrain later, but you'll notice when I do terrain on this, when the terrain is interacting with a structure you've built or with a log flume, I find it, I don't want to say easier, but it just, in the long run, it will save you a lot of stress if you do your terrain manually. You don't always have to do it one tile at a time like I am, but doing it manually makes a difference. And then let's do this as well. I know I want my castle over here, so let's get something like this. This is the square where I'm going to build my castle. In fact, we can even build it back one, and I think I will. And we'll paint the grass, our grass color. And by building it back one, so we have a gap of 2 tiles between the other pathway, this will also just allow us to make the slope better. We'll come back to our individual editor. Let's figure out how I want this slope to go. So I could just come down 1, 2, 3, and bring this one up 1, 2, 3. But that's just a straight line. It's not very natural, right? So there are kind of 2 ways we could go about this. We could have it concave, right? Let me get this down here so you can see that edge better. We could have it concave so it bows inward, or we could have it convex so it bows outward. And the choice is kind of yours to make, right? Let's try this too. We could even go, that one is concave, here's convex. We'll do another convex one, right? Actually, this isn't going to work the way I think it is. We would have to do 2 concave, 2 convex, right? But then you can take this edge and adjust it so the terrain flows. However you want to do that. I think, just for simplicity's sake, I am not a landscaper or, a civil engineer or someone who really knows how terrain should be. I think, okay. I'll tell you what, this is sort of a nice, it's almost like a sine wave. Not really, it's too flat, but it slopes up, it's concave on the bottom and convex on the top. We don't really have room for that over here, but I think I'm going to keep it convex all the way through, just because this, I think, would be more structurally sound in terms of how the terrain is. But I don't know. If you have any better ideas, let me know. Anyhow, and the whole purpose of this is creating sort of a natural foundation for our castle, right? So I'll make this go like this, and I'm going to bring this little edge here down. Granted, the castle is going to be nice and tall and nice and seated on top of that, but I kind of want to avoid, for now, having any lips or bumps in the terrain that could sort of guide the eye away from the castle. So we're going to do this. Like so. Alright, and we'll go one more edge along here. There we go. And we'll focus on this later, because that's going to, we're probably going to have a pathway somehow leading up here. Actually, we can start working on this now. So let's go 1, 2, 3. So notice, again, this is where my pathway is going to be leading up to castle, and I'm doing this all by hand. So I did 3 down, and then we're going to bring this up and come down just 1 notch, right? Because this is the natural gradient of our pathway. So when you're working with pathways, just know they really like, if you're doing a pathway on natural terrain, it really favors just that sort of 1/3 slope, if you will. That's the best wording I can use for it. And you'll see it works really nice here. However, we can't just do this because now we have this big jagged wall here. So what I'm going to do instead is bring this up 1, like so, and then we'll bring it up the rest of the way along here. And before I edit the rest of the terrain, I'm going to show you what to do with the pathway here. Just come up like so, right? And we'll have our little dining area and restaurant over here. So now, again, we're going to manually edit this so we don't disturb our pathways, but just take each edge, each corner of these middle pathways and bring them up where they need to be, right along that other edge. And then we'll do the same thing for the front edge here, like so. We'll just bring it down. We can even bring this whole edge down and then adjust the final corner. Yeah. I will note right now, terrain is going really easy on us. And with simple projects like this, where you're manually editing the height over a small distance, the terrain is going to go easy on you. But for larger projects, it can, especially like if I need to lift the terrain way up here, right? Hopefully you're not ever having to do this, but now I have to zoom way out if I want to get it higher than that. So it's tricky. The larger your terrain projects, the more work it is and the trickier it can be. And I realize now, can you spot my mistake? Because I can spot my mistake. We still have a flat edge along here. So we want this to be able to be natural. So this whole thing has to be shifted back one. Right after I said, hey, terrain's going easy on me today, right? So we're just going to do that real quick, right? Okay. That way we can soften that edge. Okay, check this out. While we're here, this is the steepest slope you can have with your pathway. I know because it won't let me edit that any further. And let's check this out as well. Look, that's the same slope as the staircase. So you can have a pretty steep flat pathway, but at this point they're kind of climbing a mountain, right? So I like to keep it shallow if I can't have stairs. But we'll keep going. But that's an interesting little detail within the game that I just noticed. And in fact, I almost did that wrong. Okay. Well, I know I said I was going to save terrain work for the next sort of scene we do here, but honestly, this is in essence what terrain work is in RCT3, and this is the same process you're going to follow with larger terrain pieces, that whole manual editing. And you know, where you just want to have terrain, you know, a mountain with trees to be the centerpiece of your park, and there aren't going to be any attractions like, you know, around and interacting with the mountain is what I'm trying to say. You can use these other tools that are designed for, you know, shaping your mountains, right? You can use those, but when it comes to stuff where you're having this pathway interact, doing it manually is just it saves you a lot of time in the long run. So that's why I go through and I do it like that. So thank you for joining me for this little journey. And then you can plant trees and shrubs and stuff to soften that edge. But here's what I like to do. Let's come along, where are we here, to our fences. Let's go, we can try adventure fences. Yeah. Let's get the pirate fence here, because I think this just looks good for any sort of, you know, medieval type fencing. And we're just going to line the edge of this path, right? And we know this is going to be, it's not going to be steep drop off. So what we'll do along here, because the drop off is now to the left, is we'll just put this fencing along there. And realistically, we'll probably want to put it along here anyway, because we're going to have a log flume going through there. It's going to be a restricted area, so we'll have it along both sides. But remember, on this top switchback, have some fencing on here as well. And you'll notice fencing follows the grade of your terrain. So that's a really great concept. In the future, when we build a steel roller coaster, I will show you how to use that to make handrails going up your lift hills, if you can't figure it out yet. Yeah, so some of you might have caught on if you know, on how you can, anyway, how you can make handrails. Okay, I'm gonna line this side too, because in theory we'll probably paint this to be stone colored or whatever, and if there are any like little falling rocks, we want to keep them off the pathway. So this net we'll catch them. Okay, so that's sort of terrain for pathways 101. I think in the next clip we'll work on a little castle here, maybe do a bridge across here. But before we move on to that clip, let's do this. Let's turn on our grid. Oh, we don't want it that big. And let's do another... yeah, we'll do another 3 height thing right across the pathway here. And we'll go 2 back again, or maybe 1. We'll go 1 back, like that. Okay. And let's just go up 3 here, because this is going to be sort of an accent piece, right? They aren't going to be able to access this. So we'll make it a little bit lower and build a taller tower on the right side. And then we'll have a bridge across the way, in theory. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we're going to design our castle, I think, in the next clip and figure that out for ourselves. Perhaps. I'm looking around, just I'm like, is there anything else I can do other than design the castle? But I think that's what we'll do. We may come along this other side and start building up terrain as well. That'll probably, again, be another manual project. We'll see. Yeah, okay. That's going to end it for this little clip here. I will be back in a few seconds in your time. It might be a little longer in my time, and we'll build this castle. Alright, everybody. So it's been a second for you, like I said, but it's been a few hours for me. I wanted to make good on my promise of working on the castle in the next clip, and I knew if I didn't do it tonight that I would probably forget. So we're going to do that. And looking at our little ramp up to this area, I can see there's not a whole lot of space. Because if our castle's going to be, 3 by 3, we kind of want a little bit of space, if you know what I mean, for a seating area. Anyhow, so this is a challenge we have to solve. But the way I'm going to solve that is by building the castle first, and then going from there. So I'm going to go to our walls and select the Caribbean Adventure walls. It's probably the best, if not the only, set of walls to build castles in the game. Anyhow, so we'll go with that. And initially what I wanted to do is just have a big round castle, but I would have thought about it, and I don't think that's the best idea. It's just maybe a little cliche, and we have, the castle wall set, or the Caribbean Adventure walls, I should say, is really a great wall set for building medieval castles. Aside from the look, it has diagonal pieces and stuff like that. There's kind of a lot to choose from here, and it's rather consistent. Some of the wall sets from RCT3 are not as consistent with what pieces they offer. A lot of them don't offer diagonal walls. Many of them don't offer curved walls, things like that. But you have all of that to choose from here, and quite a lot of variety. So we're going to start and look for a full height wall with base. And I'm just going to do a nice square building here. And then we will build off of that. One thing I don't care for either is how close the log flume comes to this castle, because I want to be able to sort of build or extend it into this direction. But maybe we make the log flume go through the castle or something. I don't know. We'll think about it. In fact, maybe lots of new ideas that come along as we go. Let's try like a diagonal wall. Right here works, like so ish. We'll just place it here as a footprint more than anything. Something to this effect, right? It comes along here like so. And then wait, let me fix that. Okay, maybe something like that. I don't know. We'll work on this idea. Basically, But I don't know. I don't want the log flume to be medieval themed. I kind of want it to be more Western themed. So we'll think about how we want to approach that. Anyway, we'll move on from that idea for now. Let's just get a full height wall. Actually, let's get a square roof. And let's just place that along here to start. I guess we'll need a corner in a moment too. And here it is. Like so. But I know we're already going to get rid of this front corner here. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to get this, where is it? This curved wall with square base. If we delete these four corners, or these, you know what I'm saying. If we delete those things, you can put this in here. And then we can build up a nice round tower for a few blocks. Now I don't want to make this castle huge. If you're familiar with like theme park design concepts, or with like the Disney parks as an example, forced perspective is important, and you don't want to make things too large or too to scale, because if you do, like, basically you want things to be smaller near the top, but it creates the illusion of distance. It's hard to do that properly in Roller Coaster Tycoon, but you know, it's good to do it to the best of your ability if you can. So we'll keep this relatively low, and I think that's a good shape for the castle. But the next thing we want, we want to build sort of a satellite castle over here. So I want to plan out a bridge that will cross this divide here. And initially, I have to figure out how I want to do this. So I'm just going to map it out. Let's say with the bamboo wall here, but this will get replaced. So this comes out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, I may make it go 7. That way it can have a singular middle point where we can put up a support column or something. And then from there, we could take like the platform on pylons, right? And put it up there. Theoretically that could work, but I kind of want more of a stone bridge. So let's see what we have to work with. We could use the wall base here to create, to create archways, right? But that's creates very thick supports, and we need people to be able to walk through here. And on top of that, we don't have anything that goes really underneath it. So the next thing we could do is this stone archway, right? In fact, this is actually not necessarily a bad idea, but right, if we want to have it, work in a way that works, for one thing, it has this, metal grating hanging down from it. And there's no just standard wall piece that has that as well, which would pose issues. So we can't just, and for one thing, this is also built on the middle of the tile. So as good as it looks, it just doesn't quite hit the mark. And again, like, I feel like this would just look a little funky, right? As a support. So it's kind of almost an option, but not quite. So that's been my dilemma, is trying to figure something out that would work as a column for this bridge. And without proper archways, it's kind of difficult, because, right, you can't just have a stone bridge, traveling in a long straight line. It has to, there has to be arches for support to an extent. So when I build things, you can build things realistically. You can focus on realism or surrealism when you build your theme parks. You have people in like Planet Coaster who just build absolute fantasy parks, and they allow scenery to just hang in midair and stuff. And it looks great from a user perspective, but it doesn't work from a realism standpoint, right? And I try to go for realism in Roller Coaster Tycoon to the extent that I can. This would be an example where, you may have to be willing to cut 1 or 2 corners to achieve the desired effect, right? So in this case, the corner I would be cutting is, well, be cutting the metaphorical archway into a corner, right? So if I had a bridge like this, let's imagine there's a platform on top, this is a 90-degree angle. From an architectural standpoint, that wouldn't work, but from a design standpoint in Roller Coaster Tycoon, what are you going to do when you can't get a proper archway? But I've already eaten my words once or twice in this episode, so let's just, for good measure, try our wall base with door. And let's put that right here, right? So we could do that, but then again, it leaves these 90-degree angles down here, and it just doesn't quite work. But we can move on. I don't really, I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever done a proper build with the marble Sultan's Palace walls, or the Sultan's Palace walls. But you can look through these and see if there's just any pieces that could help you, any sort of columns or anything. Like, that's not that. Wait a minute. Well, this isn't quite what I'm looking for, but it's exactly the right height. So we might be able to work with this. Yeah. See, here I am eating my. I don't like the look of the marble, right? But it's an archway. What if we did it? Maybe I don't like the look of it because it clashes with the stone. But like, if we did it along here. See, so don't be afraid to explore, and you might just discover something new. And one idea I had when I decided I wanted to do this series was like, I wonder if I could use some of those pieces I don't normally use. And here we are. I guess, it works. Here's another good question though. We need to be able to put path underneath those archways. So let's find somebody over here and rename them. By the way, because I exited the game between takes, I have to rename somebody M. Brooks. So that's what I'm doing there. And let's see. Moment of truth. Well, there you have it. I guess this may have been our solution all along. And the great thing about this is we can, let's see here. It's got a square flat roof. We can put that right along the top there. So now the only thing I don't like is this color palette. It's just this marble texture. It's too ornate for the medieval theme, in my opinion. But I think we might be able to just, accept that for what it is. Or maybe there's something in here we can use. Just something that fits with this grid. But I don't, sorry, my chair is squeaking. I don't love the look of it in comparison with this, but it may just be a small price we have to pay. So we'll leave it for now and see if we can't find something better. That's a cool piece too. Anyhow, that's neat, but that's not what we're looking for. Okay. Oh, these are pieces I have kind of used before. This bath corner and this and that. What else? There are some other bath pieces in here. Like if you want to make a cool kind of fountain that's just strictly decorative, or a pool, that's one thing you can use. But anyway, moving along. So maybe we have our solution here. But like I said, I wanted to do sort of a satellite tower over here, and I have to figure this out. Here, let's do it like this. It's got our full height wall with base, and then we'll come along like so. But the issue I'm having here is I just want this to be more rounded than the other one. So let's try some curved walls. And let's see what we can do with this. Where is my roof? Here it is. Right, something like this. Does that look cool? Maybe. And then I have an idea. We can go up here. Maybe. let's grab a square flat roof and let's replace this one as well. And I think if I just leave these arches, I think they'll grow on me. So we'll see. Anyhow, so yeah, if you guys think I'm some sort of expert at Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, think again, because there are just entire pieces or, you know, pieces of scenery I just don't know about, because, you know, I limit myself to what I know often. So I guess it's good to experiment. Okay, I should stop digressing and start working on this though. Okay, full height wall. Here we are. I'll just bring that along there. And we can even maybe, well, let's see. What kind of window pieces do we have? I think it's just the double windows, but that's fine. We can put those up here just to add some more variety to this. And then we'll get our curved wall and put it along that edge, if we can find it. Alright, and let's get a doorway in there as well. Like so. Okay, and then we can put in our rooftop, and then work on the terrain surrounding this little satellite tower. That probably will require us to remove some of this bridge though, but that's okay. Again, if I can find it. And I have yet another idea, because I don't really like the shape of this end, right? So let's round it off. Let's find our curved wall with base. No, with square base. Do that. Okay. The only thing I don't like is that the parapet does not get extended, but that's not the end of the world. Okay, and finally, our quarter roof, flat tower top with parapet. Alright, I sound like Bob Ross. Probably because it's past midnight and I'm trying not to wake everybody else up in the house. So I hope I'm doing a good job of that. I should also lean closer to the mic so you can hear me. I hope this isn't too close. Hello? Hello? Okay, I guess I'm getting a little slap happy too. Just like the good old days of Germanator Studios. Do you remember those? Because I kinda do, but I kinda don't. Just really quick, for those of you who will be viewing this from above, there. Now it looks like there's a floor in there. Okay, so now that that's complete, what else can we do here? Well, we can delete one of the walls here, right? And seeing that painted terrain makes me want to come over here, just for good measure. Well, yeah, this will work fine. And then let's put a shop or two in here, or one. I think we only have room for one. But let's get like this. No, not that. Oh, we want general. And a custom stall. Let's just put it right in here. And let's sell, I know. This is a German specialty. If I can find it. We're gonna get a pizza stall in here. Pizzeria. However, this in our world is not pizza. It will be Flammkuchen. Now, Flammkuchen is sort of like a very crispy flatbread in German. It's very thin and crispy though. It's not like actual flatbread. It's similar to pizza, and it can have different toppings. The one that was common where I was called I'm gonna butcher this. I haven't spoken German in a while, but Elsässer Flammkuchen, and basically it's got like just diced ham and onions and like a little bit of sauce on top. It's very, very tasty. If you're ever in Germany, you gotta try it because it's very good. But we're gonna have that, and we're gonna have Flammkuchen up here. Okay. And let's just get some more walls in there just to close that off. We'll come to that. Oh yeah, so I'm trying to think here. Germanator Studios. Yes. No. Maybe. I know we definitely had a medieval section of the park. Yeah, we did have a castle that peeps could walk up to. I remember. And I just had to think about it. So there was a castle that peeps could walk up to. So I've probably explained this in that series. But basically, in Germany, there are these places up in the mountains called Waldenhütte. And they are like, it's like there are these restaurants built into these old fortresses and castles, and you can go and just order like small meals, right? And you hike up to them, right? You can't just drive and park right outside. You have to hike up to them, and they're kind of just in the middle of the forest. You know, they're castles and fortresses, so they usually have like a nice view of the valley or whatever, but they're built on top of these big hills, right? So these are called Waldenhütte, and I know it's a weird word for you English speakers, but yeah, it's a fun little thing. So basically, that's what I'm going for here, and I'm going to move this log flume back, and let's do this. Okay, and what else can we do here? Because I want to incorporate, you know, I have this spot for them to get their Flammkuchen, but I want to make sure they can get other, you know, I want to make sure their drinks are taken care of. So let's find, or let's build a little drink stall, shall we? So I'm gonna go back here. Maybe we want to use bamboo. I don't think so though. Let's use our western town walls, and let's just do something simple. We might need to. Okay, I see what we need to do. We're gonna bring up some more terrain. And let's just get a 3x3. We're going to need to bring this up anyway, even though we'll adjust part of it. And then we'll do this. Western town walls. And we're going to come along this edge. I think that's going to get rid of our supports. Yeah, that's okay though. We just need that outside edge. Wow, okay. The more I think about it, the more torn I am, because I want the peeps to be able to see this log flume. I know. We'll build it. We're gonna do something sketchy here. Okay, more experimentation time. We're gonna bring this down, and then we're gonna bring the path over. Like so. And then we're going to try putting a stall in first. We'll see if this works. I hope it does. Yes, okay. Now, we'll try this. We'll get our western town walls, and right on this level, yeah, we'll build this little stall here. Like so. Perfect. And then let's come back to our, not our sci-fi walls, but our adventure castle walls. That's a good song by Styx, Castle Walls. Let's get one without the base. And we're just going to sink it into the terrain here. Like so. In fact, let's just grab that height all together. And we'll go here, here, and here, and even here. Perfect. Now, we'll find a nice roof for this. Let's do it like this. Let's get our porch roof. Which one? I swear, the most difficult item to find for me is that straight porch roof. But let's bring it along here like so. And we have a little bit of a gap here. And how I typically remedy that, either use the 1/3 height wall or the fence. But in this case, I think the fence will look better. And let's just make sure that's the right color. so. Perfect. And in fact, we need to change the color of that roof, if I can find it again. And here it is. We just need to make it gray. I knew something was off about it. Oh yeah, you can even build it up a little bit, but we're going to build it at the normal height. So this will be our drink stall. And we already have the one thing, the Flammkuchen, right? Oh, but we already have drinks, just a normal drink stall at the front of the park. So let's get, let me see here. I don't remember what all we have in terms of drinks. I'm looking for something in particular. I guess we can do root beer. That's fine. And then we'll just say beer. In German, I don't know. Yeah, we'll just say beer for now. In fact, we can even, yeah, that's fine. All right, we could really, if we really wanted to, we could rename those drink items on the menu, but I'm not going to worry about that. And then we'll just say WH for Waldenhütte, and we'll do that the same thing. So I like to code name all of my restaurants or stalls really in Roller Coaster Tycoon, just that way when I get notifications that like they're broken down up top, I'll know where in the park it is, since I have multiple of the same name. And while we are up here, let's go back to our adventure stuff. Got a little fencing here just to block off the log flume. In fact, let's find our safari fencing. Let's use the safari fence. It'll fit in nicely with the theme here. Oops. And let's just put it along here since it's a little bit taller, so it should theoretically discourage guests from going where they don't belong. And the only thing really missing up here would be like a restroom. But this is really just sort of a pit stop anyway, so it shouldn't really be much of an issue that there's a restroom up here, right? We can just put one in this vicinity, maybe down here somewhere. This is looking pretty good. I just have a couple small adjustments I want to make to the castle itself, or the bridge rather, but I also want to put some windows and stuff around the place. So we'll work on that here in a moment, but I want to finish off a couple little odds and ends here. Put a fence there, of course, and then what else? Putting a stone wall down there. Okay. Like so. Now you can see that clipping through the terrain, right? But when we bring this up, it's gonna go, that's not gonna be an issue. So that is that for now. We'll come back to this little area. I guess we're staying here anyway to build our castle walls, but you know, whatever. Okay, let's see here. Windows. We could do windows all along there. I think that's fine if I can place them properly. Granted, you wouldn't see a lot of windows like in a proper base or a fortress. Not a lot so low to the ground, but that's okay. And we'll just put doorways. Yeah, we have a doorway there. We have one here now. And the last thing I want to do is just find a 1/3 height wall. Maybe we can do the one with base. I think that'll look good. Yes, and put it right along there. And you know what? The base color of that wall kind of ties in with the base of these pillars, and I think it helps connect the two themes a little better, and also just works well because the darker color, it works well with the white color of the pillars. So that's kind of growing on me now. And I just placed one where it doesn't belong. And one more thing we can try. Actually, no, I was going to say, let's try putting a fence along here. But remember how I said the fences move with the terrain? So that would not work. We could do a western wooden fence, but I don't like the look of that with the stone. I don't think that would look good. So I think we're going to leave it like this. Let's just bring this pathway down a little bit. Right to here. And then we can connect it all the way up to our midway. And let's cut out spots for some planters. Not planters peanuts, just planters. Okay. And I guess if I would have thought better, I would have left more room for a planter here. I don't want to go right up to the edge. So we'll leave it empty right here. Maybe. Yeah. And then that'll also give guests a nice view. Once they get past this planter, it'll give them a nice view of this bridge going over. And I think this looks pretty good. Real quick, I also want to do this. I want to just adjust this terrain around here and check this out. Yeah, it's not going to let us while that scenery is there. So we just have to delete this really quick, but we will put it back. And you'll notice that I didn't leave a gap of 2 to really make that terrain nice and easy. But that, ideally you would want to do that, but because this is such a small build, I think it'll be okay on its own. So we're just going to bring up the rest of this terrain here to that edge. And we'll do more work at some point to color this terrain. Probably make it rockier and not just grass. And then, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Just like so. And let's just put our bridge pieces back in place. Like so. And we'll get our Caribbean walls. We can start with 1/3 height, followed by the square flat roof. How's that? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I think this looks pretty good. Look at that. And now we have a nice centerpiece. Let's go into free look really quickly as well. That way we can really take it in from the perspective of a guest who has just walked through the entrance, right? Look, so you walk in, you see the carousel here, and you see the 2 towers behind that. And notice, like I said, we're going to have a lot more terrain up here. It's going to build up probably to a small little mountain peak, potentially. Not sure yet, but if it does, like this lower tower sort of directs your eye up toward the higher tower, and then that will direct your eye towards the mountain peak. And we can use forced perspective when we do that terrain. So the trees along the top would be small, sugar pines probably, and the ones along the bottom would be medium, probably not large just because of that big stump. But anyway, point is, this looks pretty awesome. I wonder if you can see any of it from outside the park. Not really, but I think that would make the reveal even better. I guess you can see it from the parking lot, but that's okay. When you're at the main entrance, and you come under here, that makes the reveal all the much better. And when you pass the carousel, there it is, the castle right up there. So I'd say we have a winner here. Well, anyway, if you have any suggestions for what I can do to improve this, or just any comments in general, let me know. One idea I already have, I think we'll move this tower back to this corner. That way we can have the parapets along the front edge, and then the tower will be further back and it will look even smaller. I think that would be a great idea, and I think I'm going to work on that probably really quickly. Let's just do it right now. Advanced. Okay, so let's come back down here. We'll pretend like there's planters already planted, but look, now that that's recessed further back, it makes it look bigger. And like I talked about, you know, your eye being drawn from the smaller tower to the larger one. Now, oh, where am I? Goodness. now the eye is drawn up towards the peak of the castle, right? So you have this in the foreground, and then this is in the background, and it also creates the illusion of this being bigger than it is, the round tower. I hate free look. Okay, goodness, I do not like free look. But what I was going to say is the other advantage of that is if you come to this end, right, now you're standing at the base of this tower, and I think having it like right here at the base, it also looks, I guess it doesn't look huge, but you can look right up this wall, right? And when you're right at the base of it, it makes it look much larger in comparison to you. So I think that makes it better all around from the guest perspective. So let's say it was where it was originally, and the guest sees it from here, right? Ah, goodness. Let's say this is the front where the guest is getting their food, and they look up here and they see this tower. It looks further recessed and it looks smaller than it is because you can't follow the tower from top to bottom. But from this angle, good. Free look is garbage. Okay, from this angle, I think it just looks a little bigger and it's a little closer, which I like. But that is that. Let's go back to normal mode. It's called normal mode for a reason. So let's look at isometric for fun, just for the heck of it. Okay, enough of that. I do like isometric mode now and then, but again, normal mode is where it's at. Okay. Anyhow, here we go. We have a castle. We have a log flume that's a tiny bit longer than it was before. I think I'm going to call the episode here. But in the next episode, I don't see any reason why we won't get started on this mountain here and maybe making something a little more of this log flume. We'll have to figure that out in the next episode. But I am Grimmy's Coaster Yard, and I have I almost forgot something else I want to do in this episode. You guys are getting a little bonus segment. I wanted to repaint our coaster. I feel like I want it to have more of a classic look and feel to it, and I thought for the garden flyer, a white roller coaster with green handrails probably. I think that would look good. Or even, you know what? Let's do blue handrails because that's the theme colors of this ride. And we can even change the colors of the cars to be blue. And maybe white. I don't know. Something like that. We'll do, just blue. Because I like the black upholstery better in these PTC trains. But look, I know wooden coasters don't look phenomenal in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but I think that just looks so much nicer at the front of the park. This is what guests are seeing for the first time, and this just really adds to that classic feel. That probably means we're going to have to go through here and repaint some stuff, but I will do that after I stop recording, and I don't have to use my brain too much for it. Okay, now, unless I can think of anything else in the next 10 seconds, I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye. Oh, I just thought of something. No, I'm just kidding. Have a good one. Bye.